What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how Bandai Namco is killing their IPs and also setting them up for failures. So let's talk about this. Bandai Namco is one of those developers slash publishers that I actually really enjoy their games. They make a lot of the anime style games and everything, and I'm not so much on those, but they do have other titles like Code Vein, and they also have stuff like the Tales of series. They have a brand new game like Scarlet Nexus that's coming out. So they do have some original ideas that I enjoy for the most part. But the biggest problem in 2021 with Bandai Namco is that they have not gotten with the picture like the rest of the Japanese game developers and publishers out there. Bandai Namco still looks and actively enforces ridiculous copyright claims on people just trying to fair use cover their games. Games like Scarlet Nexus, there's copyright claims all over the place. For those who have been wondering why I'm not covering Scarlet Nexus more, why I'm not covering the Tales of franchise more, well, you're gonna have to go to Bandai Namco on that one, because Bandai Namco feels that it's appropriate to copyright claim games that need all the exposure they can get. Now, if it was one thing that they have a game that's just a massive franchise and they want to control how everything looks from start to finish, okay, do what you need to do. It's still against fair use, but whatever. But you're talking about Scarlet Nexus, a brand new IP that's going to launch on a bunch of different platforms in a busy summer with a lot of other bigger titles or just as big titles coming out, right? I mean, we've got The World Ends With You, the Neo game coming out. We got Monster Hunter Stories 2. We've got a bunch of different games, and all these other companies are allowing content creators to actually report on the news because it's free publicity. It's free marketing for your game. And then you have Bandai Namco with a brand new IP that says, nah, we're not going to let you guys cover that. We're going to go ahead and copyright claim you just simply wanting to talk about the game. Now, I haven't covered Scarlet Nexus in quite some time because one time I even got a copyright claim on, I think, a screenshot with Scarlet Nexus. Now, it might be changed at this point because Bandai Namco is so spotty, but at the same time, does this make sense? Does this make sense at all for a brand new IP like this to have people less encouraged to cover it? You would think that you would want people to cover this type of game just because it's new and you want people positively talking about the game, which for the most part, based on what I've seen, there's some stuff in terms of what people are saying, oh, it's an Astral Chain ripoff and all that, but for the most part, people are excited to see more about the game. But unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that they've been talking about, like the recent anime announcement and also with the new trailer with the release date, that kind of just got swept underneath the rug because people are afraid and don't want to cover Bandai Namco games, in particular their newer titles that are coming out this year. Now, there's another game that recently got some new information that nobody really knew about, at least on my channel, and that is Tales of Arise. It got delayed. It was supposed to come out, I guess, last year. Obviously, Bandai Namco and many other developers and publishers had issues with the COVID pandemic, but it seems like they're getting stuff back on track. They announced recently that, hey, it's still coming out. You know, we're going to have some stuff to show you guys, but nobody really knew about it because they're copyright claiming the footage that's out there. See, the thing about Bandai Namco, guys, and the thing about these games is that one of them with Scarlet Nexus, brand new IP. The other one is a reboot, right? They're trying to get this more popular in the West. They're trying to show people, hey, this is something that's going to focus on the story, and it's going to have great English voice acting, and it's going to have really good graphics, Unreal Engine 4. They're rebooting the Tales of franchise for it to have more worldwide appeal. I mean, it's something that Capcom has done spectacularly with Monster Hunter Rise. But the difference with Capcom, which they pick and choose sometimes what they allow you to cover and all that, but they do that with Resident Evil, a worldwide brand that we know that once the game comes out, it's like, hey, people are going to pick that up. They don't do that with stuff like Monster Hunter, which they're trying purposefully to get everybody to cover and talk about, especially here in the West. So Capcom was like, hey, you guys have at it. Any trailer, you can talk about it. Any type of thing, you can discuss it. You can do whatever you want for the most part. And that's the smart thing to do when you're trying to make a global brand. Tales of series obviously is nowhere near as popular as Monster Hunter or Resident Evil or a lot of these other games out there. So if you're going to rebrand things and you're trying to reboot it and get it out to more people, this restriction that they're doing is absolutely insane. And heck, we've seen it even with their more popular brands, but very spotty. And that's the thing that's most, I would say, frustrating about covering Bandai Namco. You never know when a copyright claim is going to come. Sometimes you think that the gameplay footage that you're using is completely fine because it worked before, then other times there's a copyright claim. I'm not exactly sure what's going on in the minds over there at Bandai Namco, but I would say this, Bandai Namco, you're killing your own IP. Heck, even some of the coverage that I tried to do with Code Vein, that sometimes got copyright claims, that sometimes didn't. And it just made me not want to cover the game as much. Now, I'm pretty sure they're happy with the sales that they've been getting with certain games and all that, and that's fine. But once again, you're going up against some heavy hitters this year in 2021. You've got a lot more competition when it comes to when you guys released Code Vein and when you released Dragon Ball FighterZ and some of the other games that's kind of been floating on with the anime stuff. And now at this point, there's a lot of other games coming out that are going to be competing against that time for gamers out there. And the fact that you're restricting what you're doing is just, to me, killing your IP. I mean, we saw this with lots of other Japanese companies, and they all realized, hey, we can't do this anymore. This is not necessarily a negative thing. Heck, even Nintendo was like, you know what? This is not a negative thing. Let's let people talk about this. And they had worldwide brands that necessarily don't need everybody talking about it, like Mario and Zelda, but they know if they did, obviously it's going to push things to even the next level, and that's exactly what they did. And on top of that, they started even working with content creators and making a whole new program and everything. So that's awesome, right? And now games are selling more than ever. I think stuff like Xenoblade, because of the content creators out there kind of pushing it and keeping it in the minds of people, that sold well. Astral Chain probably wouldn't have sold anywhere near as well if it didn't get the type of publicity that it got before the launch and after the launch. You need that for these smaller end games that aren't as popular as your top tier stuff. And with Bandai Namco's case, that'd be like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z. You need that type of coverage for a Scarlet Nexus or for a Tales of series. I know they probably think they can do it all on their own and control everything, but why give up that free publicity? Why give up that free clout out there? And it's not like people are going to sit there and bash your game to left and right. Scarlet Nexus and the Tales of Arise game looks absolutely incredible. People want to talk about it, but many of the RPG content creators and the content creators that are into those type of games, the ones that I spoke to, say, hey man, I'm not really covering it because they're crazy with the copyright claims, and you never know what's going to happen with the copyright claim. It can turn into a strike if the company wants to do that. They have like your channel, whatever they want. So it makes no sense to me, and I'm hoping that Bandai Namco can snap out of this, because like they've got some good games. They've got some good stuff going, but they need to be more like some of the other companies out there. So Bandai Namco, if you're watching, the representatives, which they're probably not, but if you are, please stop with the restrictions, especially with this stuff here. Now, if you want to do it with Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, even though they don't really do it with Dragon Ball FighterZ, but if you want to do it with that, like, I get it. There's licensing, there's, you know, copyright stuff with the anime, the manga, all that type of stuff. Like, I completely get that. But why with your own original IP? Why with stuff to where people want to be able to get that type of coverage? Like, literally, I talked to my stream. We had hundreds of people in the stream the other day, and I said, hey, did you guys know that Tales of Arise is coming out this year and there's going to be more information? They showed off a little bit of new footage and all that, and all of them were like, nope, didn't hear about it. I was like, hey, what do you guys think about Scarlet Nexus? They're like, I think it looks okay, cool, you know, we'll have to wait and see. And so many people were like, you know what, I haven't really seen much on it when it comes to people covering it or hyping it up or talking about it. And like, I get it, you know, we don't need 24/7 coverage of these games and all that, but I mean, the fact that it's gotten so little coverage, and these are bigger tier games, especially with Tales of Arise, I mean, you would expect a game like that to definitely get more coverage, but copyright claims left and right, scared to use screenshots left and right, scared to even do anything because Bandai Namco is so sporadic and spontaneous with some of these copyright claims because of YouTube's system and how things work, you know. So I'm hoping that Bandai Namco just completely changes this, because I personally would love to be able to cover Scarlet Nexus more. A lot of you guys have been asking me about that game and what I think. You know, there was a Tokyo Game Show footage that came out, you know, and it looked great. You know, last year's Tokyo Game Show footage looked fantastic, and I was excited for the game, and I went to go cover it, and bam, copyright claim after this and that. I'm like, man, on some gameplay footage from Tokyo Game Show that wasn't even the best quality, you guys are copyright claiming that. Doesn't matter if I put it in a small box on the screen or if I put it full screen, I mean, it just gets crazy. And same thing with Tales of Arise. I mean, I have to sit there and use screenshots and worry about this and that. It's just not worth it at the end of the day, considering that there's so many other games to cover. There's so much other stuff that people are interested in. I can spend my time playing games with the community. I can spend my time doing other things, editing for other people if I have to. So Bandai Namco, please get this together. Be like Nintendo did. Be like Capcom, which they revised their stuff, but Capcom at least lets us cover most of the stuff, no problem, with no copyrights, like Monster Hunter Rise, a game that they want to get more people in the West interested in. So Bandai Namco, get it together. Let's go, man. Like, you've got some great games. I love your IPs, but the coverage on this channel of Bandai Namco games has dipped significantly because of this spontaneous or random type of copyright claiming. So it just makes it kind of scary to create the content on them, and also at the same time not worth the time as well when there's other stuff that you can cover where the developers actually want you to cover. It kind of reminds me of like Daemon Ex Machina, that whole debacle that went down. I mean, that's even a little bit worse because it's coming from a smaller publisher and developer and everything. So that was even worse when it comes down to it, man. But it is what it is on that, guys. What do you think about this? What do you think about how Bandai Namco is treating Tales of Arise and also Scarlet Nexus pre-launch? And are you excited for these games? Sorry there wasn't much footage up. Obviously, guys, I'm not going to use the footage of those games, but sorry about that. But what do you think about all this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, peeps, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you for the next one. Peace.